Assalamu alaikum. This is Sadia Jalali with Muslim Bliss. Just wanted to talk today a little bit about the idea of connection and the just disconnect that our future generation is kind of growing up in. And basically, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. My understanding is that if you go into any high school right now, just kind of walk the halls, everybody pretty much walks around with their headphones in, right? And there's very little interactions. There's very little people, talking. I don't mean any at all, but on the school bus, at lunch, anytime where there's some downtime, even in class, a lot of kids just have their headphones in, and so they're not really forced to talk if they don't want to, right? And what I've realized and recognized is there's an entire generation growing up that's truly growing up without that skill, without the skill of just talking to the people around you, talking to just whoever. And, one thing I want to say as a parent that maybe you can do to kind of help your child develop some of this is something very basic and simple. So, for example, if you're at a restaurant, get your kid to, you need to ask the waiter or waitress something. Get your kid to ask, right? If you're at a store and you need something, get your kid to try to have as much interaction as possible because honestly, they're not learning those social skills. They're not learning how to interact with the world around them because they don't have to. If you're always got your headphones in and everybody else has theirs in too, and everybody's just staring at their phones, then they just don't need to interact. And it's just creating such a disconnected and unhealthy dynamic with everyone. So if you've ever taken your kids to, say, a friend's dinner party, and maybe they don't know the other kids there, how willing are they to strike up a conversation? How willing are they to say anything? Not necessarily, oh, make a friend, but just even make small talk. I feel like our kids don't even necessarily know how to do small talk sometimes because, again, they've gotten away with just not having to interact. And I think that's something, again, I think it's a real disservice to them to not have that skill. I think there will always be times in life where you need to be able to connect with the humans around you and sort of get things done, ask for things, ask for help when needed, things like that. And I feel like if they get to a point where they're not comfortable just having those basic connections, I'm worried. I'm worried about the way that that generation will interact. How will they feel connected? And again, the irony is, right, when you're online and on social media, you feel like you're always connected, right? You have these open conversations on WhatsApp or wherever, but Hangouts, Snapchat, whatever, you have all these open conversations. But when you're just around each other, do you talk? Do you know how to interact with the world around you? If you're at a grocery store and need something, they want to ask for something, is, try to get your kids, encourage them to be the ones to do that, just so that they're able to build that skill somewhere, because they're getting away with not having to interact much in school. So at least as parents, we can encourage that behavior. We can encourage rules about when we go to parties to say, hey, no phones at the table, guys, and try to get a group of kids to interact with each other, get to know each other, build those social skills. So I think this is something that's very important. And I just wanted to put it back on all of our radar. That we need to be developing this skill in our children. And also, if we are guilty of this, then we need to be doing better. I remember in waiting rooms, right, doctor's offices and things, not only would you read the magazines, but sometimes you would just make small talk with the person next to you because that's just what you would do when you're waiting that long. Things like that, I just feel like don't happen anymore. And I think it's removing that human connection from each other. So inshallah, let's work to try to put that human connection back in and teach our kids these skills that they're lacking, and even, kind of check ourselves about it, inshallah. Till next time. Assalamu alaikum.